Hello everyone. Not you, Autumn. No, not true, darling. She thought I was talking to her. You're such a good girl, aren't you? Just been out on a lovely, lovely long walk, haven't we, darling? Well, now, I've had a message from a man. He said he's nearly 80 and he's really worried about the economical state of the states at the moment, and worried that his pension's going to be stopped and his social security, and has asked me to look into it. Well, now, I'm not a politician. I don't pretend to be a politician, and I've never been really a big one on politics, but I know that these are major concerns with what's going on at the moment, and I would like to try and put this man's mind, not just this man, but all of us, all our minds at rest, because it's not just the US, it's all over the world, and it's having a knock-on effect at the moment. Past events and what's been happening in the past is all catching up with us now, so this was bound to happen. But we've got to remember that a lot of it is scaremongering, and I think what we've got to do is stay in a positive frame of mind, because if we don't stay in a positive frame of mind, then what's left for us? We're just waiting for the day to come, watching every move that the government make. And as he said, they're trying to shut down the government. Well, I just don't feel it's going to happen. And I really don't. I really don't feel that it's going to happen. Things are getting tough at the moment. And let's pull out. This is a lot of energy going into this. There's lots and lots of things happening at the moment. I've just pulled out the 9 of Wands, and there's been lots of barriers put up as well. This is saying there's been barriers, and there's quite a fight going on, and but with this scaremongering, it's like we've got to try and draw ourselves away from this, because if we're reinforcing it, because the more we take notice of all these dastardly things going on, then the more we are adding fuel to it and making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So whatever's going on in the world today, we're not going to stop it. We're not going to stop it, but we can, in a way, make it worse by panicking. Fear is never good for anybody, and once we stop that fear and start looking for the more positive things in life, and looking about for what we've already got, not worrying about what we might not have. This is a big thing that's going on at the moment. It's a way to keep you all focused on all these people in what's going on in the world and in the Whitehouse. And it's really... I don't want to get involved in it, in this predicting the future about what's happening with Trump or anyone else. And I just think that if we all stay focused on our own beings and making the best of life, whatever's happening now, you've got to live. We've got to live in the now. The worst thing to do is to start thinking about the future and what could happen. The past has already gone. The future, really, it's in our hands what we do with the future. Because if we start seeing negativity in everything we look at, then that's what we're going to get. We've really got to get positive, connect with nature. Turn away from all this, turn away from the news for a while, because it'll drive you mad. It'll drive you absolutely crazy if you're focusing all the time on what's going to happen with Trump and the Whitehouse. Are you going to have your pensions taken away? Are we all going to die? Well, we're all going to die one day, and happily go on into the next dimension, the next part of our lives, because this is not our full lives. This, while we're on the earth, is just a very minute part of it. Our spirit in our body has been here before our body, has been here all the while, and will be there in the future. Now, why worry about what hasn't happened already? Because thinking about future events, and it's always possibilities of the future. Always possibilities of the future, because we can change our future at any time. It's up to us. Our thoughts and our consciousness is very powerful. And this is what a lot of people don't really understand. They think that we're just puppets being pulled about by the government, by Whitehouse, by Trump, whoever you want to call him, whoever. We are not puppets. We've all got a consciousness, and it is entirely up to us how we live our lives and what to expect from our lives. And the only thing that is real is now, right this minute. Not what happens in the future, not what's happened in the past. It can leave a residue, yes. And it can also, if we're talking about mediumship as well, if we go on now to mediumship and things that happened to us in the past, and we hold on to those things, it can cause blockages in our body, within the energy system. So we're moving on now to the energy system. We're moving on to how not just mediums, light workers, healers, how we all work within the energy system. Now, some people have asked me, how do you get messages from the spirit world? What is it like to be a medium? How do you do it? And they think it's all very simple. They think it's just like me talking to you and them talking to me. But it's much more subtle than that. And sometimes a lot of us don't even realise that we are actually communicating with spirit. We think a lot of it is our imagination or our ideas, and it's not always. Because people who've passed, loved ones that are still very close to us, especially those who have passed recently. They tend to be around us for a while, and they're still interested in what we're doing. So our energies can block these things. Now, if we're mediums, and a healer is a medium, because the energies are from a much higher source. You're on a much higher level. All we've got to do as healers is get ourselves out of the way and allow the healing energies to come through us. Now, when I do clairvoyance on the platform, and clairvoyance is just another word for clear seeing, and sometimes we use that, the clear seeing. It's a French word, obviously. Clair is clear, and voyance is seeing. So clairaudience is hearing, clairsentience is sensing our feelings, and clairgustance, no, that's I believe that's tasting, but there's also clair knowing, and it begins with a G, and I can't remember what it's called. So there's clear knowing. So sometimes, and this is how I work sometimes, I just know something. I used to see clear images, and images that popped into my mind, and the sound was different. But now it's more of a knowing, because that saves energy. Because by the time I've looked at a man in his blue cardigan and his black trousers and maybe a white shirt, time I've looked at all that, and there's a million other men that would wear all that sort of thing as well. It's not really evidence, is it? Who's going to recognise their loved one by the colour of their cardigan? I don't think anybody is. So, although in the beginning I was seeing clearly, hearing clearly, and then they tell me this clearly, and then I feel this clearly, sometimes I just know, so they bypass all that because it's quicker and it comes through and it's stronger. So that is where trust comes in. That is where I have to open my mouth and say exactly what it is. Just trust. And my mouth opens and out it comes. And so that is how it works. But you do have to have trust, because I think clear knowing is one of the hardest things, but it's also saves a lot of energy by, some people also see what they call objectively. And so what they're seeing is a clear, it looks like a solid form. So they're actually seeing, like standing in front of a solid form. Now that is objectiveness, you see. So we're seeing objectively, just like a real person. But that can be slow, because by the time we've seen and described every little minute thing, it can be quite slow. So the way spirit work with me is mainly through clear knowing, sometimes through clairaudience, and sometimes, as I say, clear knowing, I just open my mouth and say it, and that's how I get a lot of my information. But you've got to remember that your mediumship over the years and the months and the years, and as you're developing, and we are developing all the whole of the time, we never stop. We never stop developing. And it can take years, months, and they try all different things with us. Now, as you know, you could be 1 minute, one day you could be clairaudient. You hear these words and hear everything, hear names all the time, and that works wonderful. You feel, oh, that's good, do it like this now. So I'm working like this now. And all of a sudden that'll change, because they'll stop working on that and start working on something else. Now, sometimes I've had them working through me by drawing a person's face and working through me that way. And plus giving me information about the spirit at the same time. And some of them have been very successful. So that's another way they can work with you, but it doesn't mean to say then that you're going to be a psychic artist, and you can practice with it, you see, until you get proficient at it, put it that way. Really proficient at it. Out of all these things, you generally choose the way you want to work, because there's also automatic writing as well. Now, so you can automatic writing, so you can have you can sit with a pen in your hand and some paper, and just sit there and relax, and then you drift off somewhere and your hand just moves very, very quickly usually, and you're not aware of what you're writing. It just, and it's afterwards you're quite surprised at what you have written. So that's automatic writing. Then you get inspirational writing. Now, inspirational writing, we can get inspiration from anywhere. We can get inspiration from the spirit world. We can get inspiration around us. We can get inspiration I can get inspiration from my little dog. Look at her, isn't she lovely? So there's lots of things and lots of ways we can get inspiration. And it's just a matter of trying all these different things and working with all these different things. Now, some people have asked me, well, how do I develop my mediumship if I haven't got a group or a circle to sit in? Well, I've always said that the best way to develop your mediumship is meditation. Sitting quietly with yourself. It has to be a regular thing. It's no good 1 week doing a meditation and the next week forgetting about it, because you need to keep, that helps you to keep in contact, and also not in contact exactly, but it helps you to keep focused. So if you're going to work with this ability, you need to be able to keep focused. It's no good saying, oh, well, there's a noise outside, I can hear a dog barking, I can hear this, so you can't concentrate. You should be able to do that. Meditation gives you that ability if you do it and persevere with it. At first you'll find it difficult, because in the beginning you'll find little things floating in. Well, I've got to get some sugar, and if I go down and get to, and before you realise it, you've wrote your whole shopping list and then think, oh my God, I'm supposed to be meditating. Well, it's okay, because it happens to everybody. So what you have to do is be very, very gentle with yourself and bring yourself back to your breathing. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath out. And come back and start again. And that is how you meditate. You start with, say, 5 minutes, then 10 minutes per day, not a week. And it also seems good to me. I've always found it very helpful if I meditate at the same time every day as well, which is usually when I wake up. Even if you wake up a little bit earlier so that you can do it before you go to work, if you go to work. Consistency does seem to help. Now, there's another thing that what a lot of people don't realise, you're already getting messages from Spirit. If you're a medium, you're probably already getting messages from Spirit, but they're so subtle that a lot of the time you think that it's you saying things to yourself. Like, oh, I've got to go and do that. I must remember to do that. It's all right. You've got until 3 o'clock. I'll tell you about this, actually. The reason I've just said that. Because I'll tell you a little story. The story is, when my children were little, we were living up here in Norfolk. I live in Norfolk. We were living up here, and my husband's mother was in Kent, 100 miles away. It used to take us quite a while as well in those days because, they hadn't built the Elizabeth Bridge or anything like that. And so traffic was a bit slower on the roads. Now we got a phone call, and they said to us, "Oh, quickly get down here, your mum's gonna pass away soon, so you need to be down here before she passes away." So we got that message, and I remember I immediately phoned the hospital, and they confirmed, yes, this was true. I think you better get down here as soon as possible because we don't know how long she's going to last. Well, we travelled down immediately. Didn't take us long to grab the children from school and get on our way down there. But unfortunately, as I say, the Elizabeth Bridge hadn't been built then, and there was a 5-mile tailback, and the traffic wasn't even moving. It had come to a standstill. It wasn't even moving. And I remember I was panicking and thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to be too late. We're going to be too late. What are we going to do? We're going to be too late, to say our goodbyes. And all of a sudden, I said to myself, as I thought, I said to myself, it's okay. You've got till 6 o'clock. And this was about 3 o'clock. And I thought, phew, have we? And I felt immediately relaxed. Funny enough, I felt immediately relaxed because I thought, what have I said that for? Or who said that? Is it me? But that's how it seemed. I said to myself, it's all right, you've got till 6 o'clock. So I did feel really relaxed after that. And the trouble with me in those days was I've hid my clairvoyance and I've hid my mediumship. I did hide it for years and years and years. But so I didn't say anything at the time. Now we travelled down there and we got there at 5 o'clock. So the whole family, and it's huge family, whole family was down there, and we was all in the family room. Lots of us having cups of tea and, and chatting about what's happening, and because as we were so many miles away, we'd lost contact. Not contact exactly, but we wasn't in so much contact. We didn't know what was going on. half the time. So, but at 10 to 6, I remember my sister-in-law saying, well, I'm going home, Pat. She said, I'm going to go home and cook Bill's tea. I'm going to go home and cook Bill's tea because I've been here all day. And I said, this was at 5 to 6 it was. I said, hang on, just 5 minutes more. No, she said, I can't. I've been here all day. I said, 5 minutes. And I felt I couldn't tell her why I said this. And I should have been a bit more trusting, perhaps. I do regret that now, but... So, I couldn't make her stay, however hard I pleaded. I couldn't make her stay that extra 5 minutes, and off she went. And then, about 3 minutes later, 2 or 3 minutes before 6 o'clock, the nurse came out. She said, quick, come on. She's going, you better come in and say goodbye now. And she'd gone. And I remember calling out the window, and she turned round and rushed back. But unfortunately, it was too late for her. But we went in just as she was taking her last breath at 6 o'clock. So, as I say, you don't always realise that spirit are talking to you. I now realise that was my guide talking to me, and that wasn't the first time. Other things like that happened as well. But it's so subtle. You think you're saying it to yourself, you see. And that is how you get clairvoyance, clairaudience. It's subtle. Something goes past us, what we see in our mind's eye, in our third eye. So, and then that is how we receive mediumship. Now, some people do it automatically. Then they're natural mediums, which obviously, if you're a natural medium, this happens to you constantly, and it does happen throughout your life. So that's what happened to me. But there are other ways of opening that third eye. So you become open, more aware to the spirit world. So that you can meditate every day is one thing. Now there's also sitting in the power, which is another thing which helps your spirit communicate. Okay. Now, I know I go like that because I'm opening up to the spirit world. This is what happens. So, sitting in the power is quite different from meditation. And sitting in the power is where we directly open up with, first of all, with our own spirit, and then with a higher force, with our guides, and eventually with the highest force there is. Now this takes a little practice too, and I will put on here one day, not a meditation, but a sitting in the power to give you an idea of how to do it and exactly what it is. Because we're opening up then to spirit. Okay, this is with our energy field, you see. Now, there's also, I want to say, with psychic ability and mediumship ability are two different things. Because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I'd love to speak to a psychic and see if my mum's doing all right, see if she can tell me about my mum in the spirit world. Well, I said, I'm sorry, but a psychic can't. Now, all mediums are psychic. All mediums are psychic. But not all psychics are mediums that can work with their mediumship. They've got mediumship to a certain ability. I believe everybody's got the ability to connect with their loved ones in the spirit world, but not necessarily to other discarnate spirits to pass on messages and to get a lot of information. Now, a psychic can tell if you've lost your mum, because they'll be in your aura, you see, because they're reading it actually from you. So we're talking about incarnate spirit, which is the spirit within, and you, with your psychic ability, you can psych into the other person's incarnate spirit. That's the spirit within you and the spirit within that person. You can zoom in, if you like, and have a closer look at what's happening, or into the aura or the energy field. Now, with discarnate spirit, there's spirits that have passed on. There's spirits that have gone into another dimension, into the spirit world. In fact, even that is so subtle. It's the energies, you see, between this world and that world. And if I'm honest, it's all one world. Okay. So, two worlds are one. Yes, of course. Okay. So, that's the difference between a psychic and a medium. A psychic is dealing with incarnate spirit. A medium is dealing with discarnate spirit. So I hope that's cleared that up. If you want to know what your mum or your dad or your son is doing in the spirit world, go to a medium. If you want to know what's happening around you at the moment with your life, ask for a psychic reading. And as I say, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So I hope this has cleared up a few questions. Subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm doing. And please ask your questions so that I can dive in and have a look and see if I can answer your questions for you. So that was an answer. In the beginning, it was an answer to the question about your pension and worrying about your pension. And I really do sympathise with you because you can get caught up in that. And I urge you to concentrate on that now. Not to worry too much about the future, because it's not happened. It's not happened, and it may never happen. So you've caused yourself all that worry and discontentment as well. You know, we've got so much in our lives to be grateful for and to be thankful for, that if we can keep on that level, it can enhance our happiness. So I just want to leave that with you. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank all my subscribers. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And please, any questions you have or any comments on this, I'd love to hear your comments and your experiences too on this. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.